Hey there, 10th Standard learners, and welcome to today's session. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide today. We're going to completely master a deeply moving, true story from your Prose Unit 7, Colors of Silence. Whether you're gearing up for your SSLC exams or just reviewing before class, I want you to bring all your energy today. We aren't just going to memorize a bunch of dry facts here. We're uncovering an incredible story of human resilience. So, let's dive right in.
Think about this for a second. What if your biggest challenge actually became your greatest superpower? Imagine waking up one day and realizing you've completely lost one of your crucial senses. For a lot of us, our daily hurdles can feel like massive mountains to climb. Struggling with a really tough subject or just trying to meet everyone's expectations. But what happens when the challenge is absolute, unseen, and alters the trajectory of your entire life?
Section 1. The Silent World. Following a sudden, severe illness, young Satish lost his hearing entirely. The world as he knew it completely changed in an instant. He entered a reality of absolute, profound silence. You can imagine the immense isolation of being a young kid cut off from the sounds of laughter, casual conversation, just the vibrant, everyday noise of the world. With absolutely nothing improving for him medically for over 3 long years, he was trapped in this silent world. His only solace, the only real comfort he could find, became the act of mixing colors on his palette and painting.
Naturally, this plunged his household into a really deep emotional conflict. On one side, we have his mother, who is just paralyzed by hopelessness about his condition. She's asking how he could possibly recover his hearing after 3 years. But on the other side, his father, Avtar Narain, absolutely refused to give up. He would gently correct his wife, telling her, "We must always be optimistic about his chances of recovering." It's incredibly relatable, right? It's just like parents worrying deeply about a student's future. They're each reacting to their fear, but in completely different ways.
Section 2. A Father's Change.
So, despite his father's initial optimism for a medical cure, there was a ton of dramatic tension in the house. His father was strongly opposed to the painting. He wanted Satish to have a normal schooling experience and a secure traditional future, not just to get lost in his colors. But one day, while Satish was busy mixing his paints, he noticed his father standing right at the door, staring intently at his artwork. Satish immediately reddened with anxiety, expecting the worst, but he kept mixing. His father walked into the room, sat down right next to him, and asked, "You want to do this very badly, don't you?" Now, because Satish couldn't hear the tremor of emotion in his dad's voice, he simply read his lips, completely unable to believe that his father wasn't angry.
What happens next is nothing short of beautiful. His father left the room quietly, and when he returned hours later, his arms were absolutely full. He carefully set down fresh paints, brushes of all shapes and sizes, and several rolls of crisp drawing sheets right on Satish's table. In that single, powerful moment, the father's strict resistance transformed into total, empowering support. He finally realized his son's passion was just undeniable.
And man, look at where that support led. Satish Gujral didn't just paint a few nice pictures. He conquered the art world. He became one of the foremost artists in all of India, wildly accomplished in painting, sculpture, and even architecture. We're talking publishing books, exhibiting globally in prestigious spots like the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and designing the Belgium Embassy in New Delhi, which actually won him the Order of the Crown. Ultimately, he was honored with the Padma Vibhushan. Out of absolute silence emerged a master whose colors spoke to the entire globe.
Section 3. Check your understanding. Now here's a core comprehension question you absolutely need to nail. Why was Satish's father initially against his painting? I really want you to think critically about this for a second. Put yourself right in Avtar Narain's shoes. Was he just trying to be mean and strict, or was something else driving his behavior?
The truth is, the motives behind these characters are super complex. The father wasn't a villain, he was a terrified parent who desperately wanted a secure, traditional future for his son who was dealing with a sudden, massive disability. The mother, meanwhile, was just paralyzed by hopelessness. And Satish? He just needed an outlet for his silent world. You see, understanding literature isn't about rote memorizing lines. It's about decoding human empathy and motives. If you understand why they acted this way, you've mastered the chapter, and that is exactly how you want to approach the questions in your SSLC exams.
Section 4. Enrich your vocabulary.
Okay, let's shift gears and look at how simple prefixes can completely flip a word on its head. This is straight from your vocabulary task 2. By taking a root word and adding little prefixes in front of it, like in, dis, or miss, we literally create the direct opposite meaning. Decent becomes indecent. Approve becomes disapprove. Understand shifts all the way to misunderstand, and advantageous turns into disadvantageous. The best way to think of prefixes is like multiplying a positive number by -1 in math. You are taking the core positive value of the root word, like decent, and by just attaching 2 tiny letters, in, you mathematically reverse the entire meaning of the sentence. It's a totally awesome, powerful tool for expanding your vocabulary and making your writing so much more precise, all without having to memorize entirely new root concepts. Section 5. Listen, speak, and read.
Your textbook also includes a Speak Well Task 1, which is all about practicing conversational English with a partner. Now I know speaking a second language out loud can feel super intimidating at first, but the goal here is to communicate effectively, not perfectly. You have to practice without the fear of making mistakes, exactly in the same way Satish painted, without fear of judgment. So, to master dialogue delivery for your exams, just follow these 3 quick, actionable steps. First, always observe the situation, like who is talking and what do they actually want. Second, identify the correct language function from your textbook's annexure. Is it seeking permission or maybe requesting? Finally, practice out loud. Say the words. Actually speaking them builds that natural, effortless fluency you're looking for.
Section 6. Master Writing and Referencing.
Moving on. In your curriculum, you are asked to practice writing a biographical sketch, which is essentially creating a cohesive profile paragraph from a bunch of raw data. Think back to the timeline of Satish Gujral we looked at earlier. A really great biographical sketch takes those dry, bulleted facts and strings them together into a beautiful, logical story. It takes focus, but remember, practice makes perfect here. And to make it easy, here is your foolproof framework for any profile paragraph. Whenever you get a set of clues on a test, like the ones for Mr. Rajagopal in your exam materials or Satish Gujral in the text, always start with the birth details. Next, list out their educational qualifications clearly. Then build the narrative up by highlighting their key professional milestones. By the way, if you are doing a newspaper make reference task, this exact same structure helps you pick out the most vital facts efficiently. Finally, end strong by adding their prestigious awards or global recognitions. If you follow this structure every time, your paragraphs will be clear, concise, and just incredibly effective.
Right before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this profound quote found in your textbook from Paul Harris. One's nativity is not of his own choosing, but whatever it may be, it is entitled to respect. This brings us right back full circle to the core moral of Satish Gujral's amazing story. We don't get to choose the circumstances, the sudden illnesses, or the immediate challenges we are born into or encounter. But everyone's unique journey, with all of its unseen hurdles, demands absolute respect. And that leads me perfectly to my final question for you. If Satish Gujral could conquer a world of absolute terrifying silence to literally paint his universe and become a global master, how will you conquer your own challenges today? Whether it's mastering a really difficult grammar rule, finding the courage to practice your spoken English, or just sitting down to study when it feels really tough, you have that exact same superpower inside you. Thank you so much for joining me in this deep dive. Keep learning, keep pushing forward, and I'll catch you in the next session.
Welcome to this exam-focused explainer. Listen, if you're gearing up for the Karnataka SSLC board exams, specifically Subject Code 31E, you are in the exact right place. Today, we are stepping right behind the evaluator's desk to decode the official blueprint for Prose Unit 7, Colors of Silence. As a veteran evaluator, I'm going to show you exactly where students routinely bleed marks, and more importantly, what we absolutely demand to see on your paper. We're structuring this explainer to mirror your question paper exactly. We'll start with those sneaky 1-mark objective traps, move into mastering 2-mark value points, crack those 3-mark extracts, and finally decode the massive 4-mark long answer blueprint. All right, let's dive straight into Section 1, 1-mark traps covering grammar and MCQs. Okay, so students routinely throw away easy marks on vocabulary here, simply because they rush. These aren't just random words, guys. These exact collocations have appeared directly in previous year board answer keys. Swimming pairs with pool, table goes with cloth, and twinkling pairs with star. Honestly, don't overthink it in the exam hall. Just memorize these on sight and take your guaranteed 1 mark. Next up is syllable counting. And wow, is this a classic examiner trap. Now, words like color and table are clearly 2 syllables, right? But watch out for words like calm and clear. Students panic and trap themselves into trying to split them up. Don't do it. They're evaluated strictly as single syllables. Calm, clear, 1 breath, 1 syllable, 1 full mark. It's that simple. Also, keep your eyes peeled for those study skills marks.
You'll likely be asked which reference material to use for a specific task. Let me be crystal clear. If the question asks where to find a word's spelling, variations, or pronunciation, the board's only accepted answer is the dictionary. Not a thesaurus, not an encyclopedia. The dictionary. Moving right along to Section 2, 2-mark value point mastery.
Here's a secret from behind the desk. We, evaluators, we honestly do not have the time to read long, rambling essays. We hunt for specific facts. Take this absolute board favorite. Why did Satish become moody? You can't just write, he was sad, and expect points. For full marks, you have to state the school's rejection due to his hearing problem for the first mark, and then his refusal to play freely outside for the second mark. 1 + 1 = 2. It's literally a mathematical formula for your English paper.
Check out this other high-yield trap. When a question asks how Satish's father encouraged his art, writing a generic, he supported him, earns exactly 0 marks. 0. You must explicitly list the official key points. State that his father realized his passion for the first mark and bought paints, brushes, and drawing sheets for the second. Lock down those specific nouns to secure that 1 + 1.
All right, on to Section 3, cracking 3-mark extracts.
Now, students constantly bleed marks in the reference to context section by completely missing the situational context. Take this exact quote. "We will have to look for a new school." Spoken by After Narayan, Satish's father, this is a massive trap that appears frequently in previous year papers.
Evaluators are going to slice this into 3 distinct parts: speaker identification, situational context, and a vocabulary definition. You have to hit all 3 targets perfectly to get your points.
Look at the difference here. The typical student rushes and just writes, he needed a school, completely losing the context mark. But the perfect official key answer, it explicitly mentions that his frequent absences and hearing problem caused the school's rejection. That is the crucial point. And for the vocabulary question, clearly defined to look for as to search or find out. That kind of precision is exactly what gets you a 3 out of 3.
Finally, Section 4, the 4-mark blueprint, the absolute climax of the paper. This long answer usually demands a comprehensive summary of Satish Gujral's entire journey. And hey, under exam pressure, students forget details. It happens. So use this 4-step chronological memory trick to guarantee you hit those value points. Step 1, the accident and school rejection. Step 2, his brother providing books, and you want to specifically mention those 32 boxes from London. Step 3, the father's pivot, admitting him to an art school. And Step 4, his global success. Write this exact sequence, and you are basically handing the evaluator the marking scheme. A quick note on detailing Step 4, his global success. Make sure you list his multidisciplinary talents exactly as they appear in the text. Don't just say he was a painter. Board keys specifically look for these exact words: painting, sculpture, architecture, and writing. List every single one of them to guarantee that final mark.
And want to know the perfect way to close your exam? Board evaluators absolutely love to see this exact conclusive sentence from the textbook used as your wrap-up line. His life of achievement is ample proof that physical disability is no barrier to success. Writing that shows you know the text inside and out, and it leaves a fantastic final impression.
So, the real takeaway is this. Success in the SSLC English paper isn't just about reading the story, right? It's about fundamentally understanding how that story is graded. Now that you possess the official evaluator's blueprint from this explainer, the only question left is, exactly how many of these high-yield value points will you lock down on exam day? Get back to those notes, memorize those collocations, map out your summaries, and go claim your marks.